What's going on, everyone? Welcome into a live Cleveland Browns report. Matthew Peterson here, and what is the beginning of, not going to lie, the dog days of the offseason. OTAs and minicamp are behind us, but I'm wearing my Nick Chubb jersey right now because I want to appreciate everyone who is watching. Pat yourself on the back, because sure, there's not any groundbreaking news, free agency, or the draft right in front of us, but you love pigskin. You know ball, you know football, you are a ride or die fan all 12 months of the year. So just pat yourself on the back a little bit for not checking out when things are a bit slower than in season, because you are a die-hard Browns fan. So shout out to everyone tuning in right now. Plus, let me know where you are watching from. We're going to let the audience build up here before we jump into what some might think would be a slow news day. But you know what? With the Cleveland Browns, that does not exist. There is always something to talk about. It's the beauty of the NFL. So before we jump into the show, let me know where you are watching from. Corn Dog Dude is watching from Chicago. Jersey Dog in South Jersey. How you doing, man? We got Brunswick. We have Dallas in the house. Nolan is tuning in from Dublin. We have Cassie. Did you say Cassie's here? Cassie, happy birthday. It is Cassie's birthday. Everyone spam HBD in the chat right now for Cassie. Cleveland's here, Ohio, Akron, Ohio, Stand Up, Defiance, Ohio. Always good to see the Buckeye State represented. Get those HBDs in right now for Cassie. North Carolina's in the house, Des Moines, Iowa, Virginia. Let me know where you are watching today's live show from, and then pat yourself on the back one more time for not tuning out in the month of June. Producer Jack Lauderay, he's riding or die. In fact, do you want to show everyone what has been in the making for quite some time? He's been very excited. The floor is yours.
Ladies and gentlemen, everyone that knows me.
The man behind the voice, behind the screen right now.
I'm Jack. I'm the new Browns producer. Everyone that knows me knows I'm a hat guy. I love hats. That's what I do. I wear a hat every day. So
there it is.
I had to rep. I had to do it.
Love to see it. Love to see it. He's got a good stock of hats on his desk. And when Jack was taking over for Browns Live in a little bit of like an off-season shuffle, one, we benefited in a big way. We picked up one of the best producers in chat sports, but we had to get a Browns hat to him. So shout out to Jack for repping the brown and orange. Okay, HBD's coming in for Cassie. Love to see it. Now, there is a notable free agent still out there, and I don't have a good answer for you why he is unsigned. Yannick Ngakoue. He has never gone below 8 sacks in his career. He is a Pro Bowl caliber player. He is one of the best pass rushers. So do you guys think the Browns should sign him because why not? Right? If he's still a free agent at this point, clearly what he thought he would get in March has gone down. And sure, you have Za'Darius Smith, you signed Okoronkwo. You might be wondering, why the heck are we talking about adding another edge rusher? At some point, you have to admit there's too much. And I feel the same way, but also, if you want to take down Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and Joe Burrow in January and in February, you need all the firepower you can get. So if you want to sign Yannick Ngakoue and give him one job, and that is find the quarterback, because he is not good at stopping the run. He will admit that himself probably, and go, listen, don't worry about the boring nitty-gritty stuff. Just get after the quarterback, right? You don't have to be a third-line grinder. You don't have to go dig pucks out of the boards. Just go after the quarterback on third and long. I'm not, vehemently opposed to that idea. I think it could be fun. You are pretty loaded on the defensive line already, but then again, if you want to hang with the big dogs in the AFC, you have to find a way to take them down. When did Patrick Mahomes lose the Super Bowl? When the Bucs pass rush got after him, right? Josh Allen and Joe Burrow, if you want to take them down the postseason, it might not be in a shootout. It might be with defense with Cleveland. So, should the Browns sign Yannick Ngakoue? I'm getting some yeses in there. How about James Smith doing my job for me? Can we get the likes up, please? I have a little good rat in the chat right now. Like the video. Just 15 likes. What are we doing? Hit that thumbs up button. I mean, when it comes to Ngakoue, I can kind of talk myself into it either way. To me, Yannick Ngakoue is like the defensive DeAndre Hopkins. Do you need him? Not really. Would it be fun to have him? Absolutely. Like, the Browns season will not go down before it starts if they don't sign Ngakoue, and the same goes for DeAndre Hopkins. But again, the AFC, have we ever seen a conference as loaded as it is right now? I mean, there's always been a good balance of AFC and NFC, probably leaning more towards the AFC, mostly because of Tom Brady and the Patriots. But at the same time, the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL are all in the AFC. I could almost make the argument the top 6, 7, 8 quarterbacks are all in the AFC. So you need to find a way to bring down those quarterbacks. And Ngakoue, he is a proven player at that. Now, before we jump into our live show, one more question for you guys here. Kind of off the wall. We always talk about the Brownies, but why not keep things light and entertaining? What is the top bachelor party destination? So I am racing on out of here once the live show is over. My buddy's got a bachelor party at a lake house in Georgia, so I'll be flying to Atlanta once the show wraps up. But what is the top bachelor party destination? Vegas is kind of an easy cliche. Nothing wrong with it, though. I've never been to Las Vegas, though. It's on my to-do list. I didn't want to go to Vegas before I was 21 because I didn't feel like I'd ever fully appreciate it. But now I'm a full-on gambling addict. Yeah, Vegas is calling my name. Nashville, that's a popular one, too. I think Austin is just... I don't know what Austin wants to be, but I don't want to go to Austin for a bachelor party, honestly. Yep. Justin, I just shit down your throat when you said Austin. Sorry, dude. Nick saying Vegas, New York, and Miami. Do I look like a beach guy, though? I can't do Miami. I don't. New York is too busy. I like New York in small doses, and if it's not my money. Scottsdale, that'd be a pretty fun one, right? Are you muted? Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Scottsdale, especially.
I've had my fair share of times in Scottsdale. It's
Jackson,
it's
Arizona native. If you could time up with the waste management, that's one heck of a weekend to go. That's a good one. What else we got here? Canada. Okay. Be nice to Canada. How about this? Where do Canadians go for bachelor parties? I think they just probably go to the U.S. Do they? I have no idea. We have some Canadians who are subscribed. Please help me out.
I've heard Toronto is really nice.
Okay. I bet I could see them like a mountain trip to Vancouver. You know what I mean? Get a cabin or something. I'm not sure. Dubai from James. If you're paying, dude, let's do it. And Justin going Laguna Beach, California. Now, we have a mailbag at the end of the show, so if you've got a question pertaining to the Browns or anything else really, use hashtag Browns, or you can super chat. Still looking for our first super chatter today. If you want to be the MVP of today's live Browns report, super chats always go a long way to help support the show. So this is what we have coming up for today. The latest news and rumors. We're going to look at some free agent targets the Browns might sign before training camp gets underway, now that Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski have seen pretty much everyone through OTAs and minicamp. And then, like I mentioned, mailbag to wrap up the show. Get those questions in right now in the chat using hashtag Browns. If you don't do that, the software doesn't read it, and then we can't push it on screen. And if you want to guarantee you're on screen, super chat, and you will be at the front of the line. Now, we have the green light from Mr. Lauderay. Before we jump into a live Browns report, enjoy a brand new intro video from Jason Burns. Shout out to Jason Burns, Graphic Browns, for that awesome intro video right there. Now, welcome into the Cleveland Browns report. It is the middle of June. Things are slowing down a bit, but you know what? There's always something to talk about when it comes to the Brownies. So let's start today's show off by talking about Jerome Ford and whether or not Browns fans should go out and buy all the Jerome Ford stock they can get their hands on. I'm going to give this one 3 Bernie heads. I think there is something to Jerome Ford being a bit underappreciated and flying under the radar because we did not see him much last year. He had a lot of usage in special teams as a kick returner, but actually lining up in offense, just 14 snaps, I believe, 8 carries for 12 yards for the former 5th-round pick out of Cincinnati. Now, the reason why there is some stock or there is some buzz going on behind Jerome Ford was he had some great flashes in special teams last year. He had that nice kick return against the Jets, if I recall correctly. But now he is in line to be Kareem Hunt, to be this team's second running back. And some fans, and I can understand why, are a little bit hesitant to turn that over in a make-or-break season with so much on the line and so many chips in the middle for an untested running back. If there is one person's word who you should value, it's probably one of the best running back coaches in the NFL, Stump Mitchell. Here's what Stump said on Jerome Ford. Jerome's got a skill set that allows him to do anything and everything. Pass protection, we worked a lot on this spring, so that was really the only thing we didn't have a good handle on because he didn't do it a lot in college. I think Jerome Ford is going to surprise people in a lot of ways, in a good way, most importantly, though. But for just 10 seconds, can we all at least enjoy the fact that we are going into a Cleveland Browns season, and the biggest question mark on this roster is the backup running back? That is how loaded Andrew Berry has made this roster that we have to split hairs and go at each other's throats on Twitter in the comment section over who's got the right to back up Nick Chubb, right? That is where we are at right now. And I am more confident in Jerome Ford than other people. He was great in the preseason last year, if you recall. And now that we're going to get a bigger dosage of him, sure, I can see why some people might want to lean back to a veteran who's done it before, and it'd be a lot more fun to have a notable name back there. But everyone's going to know Jerome Ford's name after a couple of weeks. That much I am sure of. Jerome Ford in college for the Bearcats, if you don't remember, he was awesome, right? He helped him get to the college football playoffs. He was originally a big-time recruit. 1,300 yards, 6.1 yards per carry on average, and 19 touchdowns. So it's been a while since we looked at Jerome Ford coming out of college, but the Browns were super excited when they found him in the 5th round for a reason, because they saw a future with him after his rookie season as a Kareem Hunt replacement. Now the time has come for that. I don't think you have to just abandon ship because the moment is here and you're a bit nervous. Andrew Berry also talked about Jerome Ford. Here's what he said. One of the things that drew us to Jerome throughout last year's draft process is his ability in the passing game. And he will certainly have opportunities going into his second year to potentially showcase those skills on a more extended level. Exactly. The passing game. The one thing that Nick Chubb doesn't excel at as a running back. This is your Kareem Hunt replacement. What was Kareem Hunt's job with the Browns? It was more than just being a third down passing option. He ran the ball a lot more and in between the tackles than your average NFL fan would think. But this is your Kareem Hunt replacement, right? We're constantly talking about who can be this team's backup running back. How about the current backup running back? I think Jerome Ford is going to do a great job as the RB2 this year. Now, unless he has a very disappointing training camp, he is going to retain this position in my prediction. Now, with that being said, name a random Browns running back. Has to be like Terrence West random, right? Can't go too mainstream. I'm going to rule out Nick Chubb and Jim Brown. Like, you just can't go for the big names. Has to be someone who's with the Browns for a couple of years and had some good moments. In 3 to 4 years, Dearness Johnson will be an awesome random Browns running back. Second story on the docket today is David Bell getting cut. I'm giving this fake news. I'm giving this story, this idea, fake news. It's been circulating all over Browns Twitter. I believe it was Zach Jackson who had him missing in his 53-man roster projection, the final roster. So we're talking about last year's third-round pick out of Purdue, who we didn't see a whole lot of in his rookie season. The Browns, one, were not trying to air out the ball under Jacoby Brissett. They were a top 5 rushing teams in terms of carries and whatnot. That was their focus. So when you're not an air raid offense with Jacoby Brissett, you're probably not going to get your wide receiver 3/4 a ton of targets. Now, when you look at Cleveland's wide receiver room, there's not a lot of wiggle room, right? Cooper, DPJ, Moore, Goodwin, Tillman, they are all locks to make this roster. And we'll go in depth on it later on. But for a guy that comes off a 24 grab, 214-yard rookie season, sure, that might not be the most encouraging numbers, but they're not moving on from a third-round pick after one season who wasn't bad last year. He just didn't have a whole lot of opportunities to showcase what he could do, and he was just a rookie. When are rookies supposed to be a fully grown product in their first season? So we're bailing on him after 1 year when he was in an offense that didn't get him a lot of looks to begin with. And when he did get looks, it wasn't bad. He had some nice catches. Sure, he had some drops here or there, but David Bell was not an issue on this team last year. Now, we have more on this in just a moment, but first things first, make sure you get your hands on these Browns polos. Mine are in the mail right now. Can't wait to wear them for you guys once they arrive. But go to chatsports.com/Browns polo. Petey's polos are an iconic staple of the Browns Report. And if you want to be rocking your own Cleveland Browns polo, use that link at the bottom of the screen. It's also in the comments and the description of today's show. Now, if I had to project who the 7 wide receivers are that make this roster, and I think there will be 7, Amari Cooper, DPJ, Elijah Moore, Marquise Goodwin, Cedric Tillman, they are all locks. They are going to make this roster. The only way they do not is if they unfortunately get injured, and that just opens up an extra spot. So now we look at 6 through 7. Now, some teams only take 6 wide receivers, some take 7. I think Cleveland is going to take 7. Otherwise, I don't think they would have invested this much in the room just to move on from someone that they recently acquired. So David Bell, and I think Jakeem Grant makes this roster. Jalen Darden is my first one out. If an injury were to happen to any of the 7 players above him, he would swap in. Or if he proves to be a better special teamer than Jakeem Grant during the preseason, him and Grant would swap spots. But for now, these are my 7 projected receivers to make the roster. Now, we have more coverage on this in just a moment, but we are almost at 20,000 subscribers. It's been an awesome journey to this milestone. No signs of slowing down or anything like that, but we are 64 subscribers away. 64 people watching right now who have not subscribed. Lock yourself in for the best free Browns content out there. Third story on the show. So the Browns sign Yannick Ngakoue. Are the Browns going to sign Yannick Ngakoue? I'm giving this one Bernie head. I think it has a little bit more legs than David Bell getting cut, so I'm going to upgrade it a little bit. But Yannick Ngakoue was included in an article by Heavy.com, which that kind of says it all right there. That the Browns should sign Yannick Ngakoue, and I'll go through the logic why, because I think there is some merit to the idea. I just don't think it's likely, right? This is separating what I would do and what I think the Browns will do. Now, ESPN recently came out with an article with the top free agents remaining, and Yannick Ngakoue was number 1 on it. You can see why. He's never gone below 8 sacks in his entire NFL career. Now, the question is, why is Yannick Ngakoue a free agent? Why is he unsigned midway through June for a guy that's coming off a 9.5 sack season and he's not pushing 35 years old? I don't have a good answer for you other than he is asking for a ridiculous amount of money, or teams just don't want a guy who doesn't want to stop the run. But still, I don't care if he doesn't want to stop the run. If he gets 9.5 sacks, that's good enough for me. Now, the Browns have made a lot of moves at edge rusher, but I am here to remind you, we are talking about Andrew Berry. So nothing ever seems off the table when it comes to Andrew Berry. He struck and got Amari Cooper. You got this guy named Deshaun Watson, Elijah Moore. And then when we thought the defensive line was good to go, he said, excuse me, let me call my old friend Kwesi Adolfo up in Minneapolis, and let's get Za'Darius Smith, because why not, right? I feel like he just watched draft day and he's like, I want David goddamn Putney too. Well, what if Yannick Ngakoue is his David Putney? I don't know. But Heavy.com did outline a fair point for the Browns going after Ngakoue, where they said, but Cleveland doesn't need Ngakoue to set the edge the way Jadeveon Clowney could, or the way the Browns believe Ogbo can after inking him to a 3-year deal. I was not going to try to pronounce that. Were the team to sign Ngakoue, it would be solely as a pass rush specialist. So I see the logic of you have Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, and Patrick Mahomes standing in your way of reaching the Super Bowl. You have to get after the quarterback if you want to be successful in the AFC during this era. So if you want to just sign Ngakoue to purely rush the quarterback and not ask him to be a run stopper, which is the weakest part of his game, and go, hey, on third down, we're going to turn you loose, which they're kind of running out of roster spots to give out to turn guys loose on third down. They already have Za'Darius Smith, Okoronkwo, and Myles Garrett, and Dalvin Tomlinson. I would suspect those would be your third and long pass rushers. But if you wanted to add another player to the rotation, Ngakoue definitely doesn't hurt this team. At the same time, I just think this one's a bit too rich for Cleveland. Andrew Berry wants to roll money over to the cap next year, where they are very much in the red right now. Over the cap has them at negative $59 million. Spotrac has them like negative $80 million. Don't ask me the difference. But Andrew Berry knows he has to at least have some sort of plan beyond 2023. And if Ngakoue gets what Leonard Floyd got, right, or Frank Clark, which is going to be around $7 to $8 million, I think he'd rather keep that money in the bank and roll it over to next year because he already got his Yannick Ngakoue. Now, I can also use the same logic for DeAndre Hopkins, where do you need DeAndre Hopkins? No. I think Yannick Ngakoue is just the defensive end of the defensive counterpart to DeAndre Hopkins, where, sure, this team doesn't necessarily need that player, but if you want to go through the gauntlet that is the AFC, you can never have too many pass rushers. So what do you guys think? Should the Browns sign Ngakoue? I'm going to pass ultimately. I want to see Za'Darius Smith and Okoronkwo, the moves you've already made, pan out a little bit before you kind of bog down the edge rusher room even more so. Now, if an injury were to occur, that'll change things. But for now, I think I'm going to draw the line with what the Browns have at pass rushers and keep it at that and not completely and solely sell out for the pass, because last year, the kryptonite for this defensive line was run stopping. And Za'Darius Smith and Yannick Ngakoue are not uberly interested in 1st and 10 run stopping plays. Before we get on out of here, pick a card time here. Producer Jack Lauderay behind the camera. Jack, what card do you want to go with?
Give me 4 of hearts.
I love the confidence. 4 of hearts. I will go with the 10 of diamonds. One last cut for good measure. 5 of diamonds. Kind of in between the two ones we said right there. Oh, that's far. That's not far off. Okay. That is it for today's edition of the Cleveland Browns Report. We will see everyone later. Should the Browns sign Yannick Ngakoue, yes or no? Corndog, did he get it right? He says 5 of diamonds. That'd be a first, a live channel prediction. We might have to go to the booth, right, to see the replay here. I think Corndog got it right, dude. That's a win right there. Unfortunately, no one's going to care when you tell them about it, but deep down, we care.
You said someone's going to get it today.
I did say that. This is true. Corndog, shout out to you. Shout out to corn dogs. Top 5 underappreciated food. If I see a corn dog on a menu, I'm getting it. There is no way I ever pass. Mini corn dogs, Shay, I don't know if you're watching right now, but absolutely a must for an hors d'oeuvre at our wedding. Like, you need corn dogs. Corn dogs, Jackie. Corn dogs for all these people. By the way, we're trying to grow the channel a little bit here, and a great way to do that is we're going to talk about sharing our video over on Twitter. So hit me up over there at Matthew Petey. But should the Browns sign Yannick Ngakoue? Let me give some shout-outs right now. Russell Wagner says no. Kimberly hitting the whole chat with an F-pit. Love to see it. Cool guy. I love mini corn dogs. Jack, top 3 hors d'oeuvres for you. Go.
Oh, God.
And
okay.
I'm talking the good stuff, not the stuff that no one actually likes but pretends to put up with.
Give me... So we're talking like appetizers?
Appetizers at a function.
Give me...
When the lady comes out from the kitchen with the tray, what do you want on that tray?
See, I'm not thinking that. I'm thinking you're at a bar.
No. I want the lady coming out. You're at a function. You're in a suit you don't want to be in.
I don't go to a lot of functions. Okay. Mini corn dogs, I think are good.
Bacon wrapped scallops.
Yeah.
Always high up on my list. Mini quesadillas.
Ooh, mini quesadillas are good.
And
underrated, I think.
Very underrated.
I think underrated.
With a little bowl of guac on the side,
Yeah.
I will just anchor that lady down next to me.
Like the chips and salsa, but you're in a suit,
I don't want
so
chips
that's
and salsa.
tough.
Can't do chips.
I like chips and salsa. You see, I'm thinking like at a function.
Yeah.
You got like the shrimp cocktail, which is pretty good.
Mini tacos coming in.
Mini tacos,
egg
yeah.
rolls. Okay, so we've had enough talk about food. It's going to make me hungry. We have another segment on today's show. It is all about free agent targets for Cleveland now that minicamp is over. And the next thing on the horizon is training camp. So any possible free agents still out there that Andrew Berry might be interested in, we're going to look at in today's show. Mr. Jack, we're ready to go? Okay, let's jump into, Swedish meatballs. That's a good one. That's a good one from James right there. Let's jump into some free agent targets for Cleveland. We're going to check out some of the best remaining free agents that are affordable for the Browns in just a moment. But help us grow our channel by sharing today's video on Twitter and tagging me at Matthew Petey. And if you do, I'll give you a shout out on a future Browns report. Billy Lingerl is the no doubt MVP of sharing our videos on Twitter. Josh, Tim, Joshua Miller, and then Graphic Burns. I can never thank you enough for the awesome intro video you gave us, which we are about to roll right now. The Browns have been big ballers so far this offseason. I don't know if they have another big swing in them for the fences, but there might be an infield single in free agency awaiting this team before training camp gets underway. So I wanted to look at some free agents out there that aren't the home run picks, but maybe some under-the-radar affordable players that can help this team. And let's start with a linebacker, Zach Cunningham and Myles Jack. Now, some background on these two guys here. Zach Cunningham was released by the Titans earlier this offseason in a move to save some money. He was injured last year, so I don't know what his health level is right now. But I also thought the same thing about T.Y. Hilton last year, and he was very productive for the Cowboys when he stepped in like December. So Zach Cunningham and Myles Jack are two guys to keep an eye on because Cleveland's linebacker room is pretty good when healthy. I don't know when that will be, but when we look at the Browns linebacker room, you have three starters who are all very good starters. Like JOK, Anthony Walker, and Taki are all above average linebackers in the NFL. They also all ended the year on injured reserve last year. Now, JOK looks like he's going to be ready to go. Nothing slowing him down when training camp gets underway. But Walker and Taki are both coming off season-ending surgery. So the same cannot be said for them, right? I think you should watch for the linebacker position to be a spot where the Browns and Andrew Berry closely monitor as we get closer to camp. If Taki and Anthony Walker's rehab isn't going super duper well, and they don't look like guys who will be close to be playing in week one, and that's okay if they miss the first week or two of the season, kind of like Jack Conklin, but Zach Cunningham and Myles Jack are two players that aren't going to break the bank because they're not top-end linebackers. And the Browns aren't looking for one. They would be looking for someone to be a placeholder until Taki and Walker are ready to go. Cunningham had a long stretch in Houston as a very effective linebacker. Last year with the Tennessee Titans with a certain defensive coach that's now come to Cleveland, he could have someone lobbying for him. Myles Jack was awesome for the Jacksonville Jaguars for a while. You can see the numbers for yourselves. Last year, 104 tackles. That's not bad. He never impacted the game. No sacks, no forced fumbles, no interceptions. So for the role I am prescribing them as, which is a backup linebacker, both of these guys I think would be good candidates. If I had to pick one, I think Zach Cunningham is a really good veteran linebacker who, if healthy, and that's a big if because I'm not his doctor and I don't quite know where he's at. He missed a lot of time last year, but if healthy, he could step in here and be a good player to fit in until Taki and Walker come back. But either way, I think either linebacker could be a good addition. Now, I want to know from everyone watching, should the Browns sign a linebacker? This is the pinned comment, by the way. So if YouTube, she sticks an ad break whenever she wants. If it comes right now, scroll on down and give me a yes or no. Let's check out my third and fourth free agent targets, Matthew Ioannidis, the defensive tackle, and Shelby Harris. So turning our attention to the interior defensive line because it's still a little bit unclear / unknown who will be starting next to Dalvin Tomlinson Week 1, 1st and 10 against Joe Burrow and the Bengals. Now, Ioannidis and Harris were both pretty solid to above average defensive tackles last year. They're just getting up in the age column right now, and teams in the early parts of the offseason workouts want to see how their own players look, right? How their second or third year DTs look, their rookies, their UDFAs. And if they're not looking up to par, well, then they have no problem picking up the phone and bringing in someone like Ioannidis or Harris at this point in their career. Now, like I was saying earlier, I don't know who will start next to Dalvin Tomlinson, meaning I don't know at the end of training camp who emerges as the next best defensive tackle. I kind of hope that it's not Jordan Elliott because we saw that movie last year and it was a shitty movie. But what about the rookie Siaki Ika? We don't really see day 2, day 3 rookies start all that often, a late third-round pick. But maybe Ika can win out the job. If Perion Winfrey can ever get his act together, I think he could be a really good candidate. But if none of those things really come to fruition, well, maybe you look to the free agency pool. Now, Jordan Elliott, to get more in the weeds on, is an interesting little case here because his contract was recently restructured. And what it did was it reduced his cap hit for this year, like Harrison Bryant's, and increased the guaranteed money. So the Browns didn't give him a whole bunch of guaranteed money just to move on from him in a couple of months. To me, this signals we don't love you as a starting defensive tackle, but we do want to lower your cap hit, and we don't plan on cutting you, so we'll guarantee more money. Now, the defensive tackle spot is going to be a fun roster battle thing to watch for in the preseason. Garrett, Smith, Okoronkwo, McGuire, and Alex Wright, and Tomlinson and Ika, they are all locks to make this roster. I think 10 defensive linemen probably make it, 5 defensive ends, 5 defensive tackles, maybe 6 and 4. If they bring 5 defensive tackles, Tomlinson and Ika are guaranteed to make it. Elliott, I think, like 95% sure makes it. Perion Winfrey, as long as he does not have another run-in with the law or sleeps through a practice, he will probably make it. So then that leaves one last spot, which is between Maurice Hurst, Tristan Hill, and Tommy Togiai for the final spot on this roster. Now, if none of those guys really impress, how about you give Shelby Harris a call? He had 2 sacks, 5 tackles for loss last year. PFF ranked him as one of the top half defensive tackles in football, top 20 if I remember correctly. I think Harris would be a very fun addition for this crew. He's good against the run, but he has some pass rush upside. He had like 5 or 6 sacks a few seasons ago. So Shelby Harris, in my book, would be an improvement over Jordan Elliott. Now, if a signing does happen, you guys know we're going to keep you covered here. Some, not going to call out names, but some people take their foot off the gas during June, during July, during the offseason. Not us here at the Cleveland Browns Report. Subscribe for free coverage right now. 5th and final free agent target is Kareem Hunt. This one I'm doing for all the oldies in the back that just want to hear the hits because there is a good chunk of the fan base that wants 27 back, and I hate to be the rain cloud, but I have to come crashing down on your party and say it seems unlikely as of now. Last year, Kareem Hunt, career low rushing average, under 4 yards a carry. Also had a career low receiving average as well. Listen, if Jerome Ford starts stinking up the place in Berea in July and August, or I guess Greenbrier, then sure, I could see the Browns giving Kareem Hunt a call. But I'm confident in Jerome Ford. I used to be the czar of keep Kareem Hunt in Cleveland. Don't trade him away. Use him well with Deshaun Watson. Then we found out how big Watson suspension was, and Kareem Hunt looked like he lost a step last year. So give me Jerome Ford as RB2. This seems to be the most polarizing topic for Browns fans. And you know what? If our biggest issue going into the season is who the backup for Nick Chubb is, we're doing pretty well for ourselves, not going to lie. But what do you guys think? Should the Browns re-sign Kareem Hunt? Type his jersey number 27 for yes, or if you want to move on, you can type 0 for no. Let me know where you stand on Kareem Hunt down in the comment section. Those are our 5 free agent targets. So we'll wrap up the show as we always do right now in the offseason with pick a card time. Mr. Lauderay, our producer, what card are you going with?
Let's do the 7 of clubs.
7 of clubs. I actually like that. I have a good feeling about that. Get me down for the King of Diamonds. One last cut for good measure. Here we go. King of Diamonds! Let's go! Yes! Yes! Let's go! Who do you think you are? I am King of Diamonds! Bingo! This feels way too good right now. That's what she said. Yes! 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 Guess the card right. Pick 20. No way. Yes. Took me 26 tries. Now the competition is on. Will a producer get it right before week 1? King of Diamonds. I knew it. I knew it. Never in doubt. Never in doubt. Did you shuffle right? Oh, I shuffled. I shuffled a shit ton. Bingo. Yes. Let's go. We'll see you guys later. King of Diamonds. Yes. That's what I'm talking about. Was not rigged. No rigged. I would never rig it. I felt good about it too. Way better than any other time. Bingo. Legless. King of Diamonds for the win. My new favorite card. Didn't know I had a favorite card. Now I do. It's King of Diamonds, baby. Whew. I mean, honestly, that is the greatest athletic rush I've had since high school. And it wasn't very athletic, but it felt like it. I know what it's like to win a state championship now. This has to be on the same playing field. I think they're not far off. King of Diamonds for the win. Paul Brooks, what's going on, dude? We got a super chat. 35 thumbs up, the rest middle fingers. Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay, I was like, are you flicking me off right now? Yeah, okay. Well, we got 49 likes. Can we at least get to 50? Kind of get a nice even number right there. I don't want 51, though. It's going to be a fun little 50. It was a fun tango going here. Can we get to 50 likes? Uh-huh. That was exhilarating. That was something. We're at 50. Oh, no one move. No one move a muscle. Someone's going to unlike it just to screw with me. I don't care. You can't crash down my parade right now. King of Hearts for the win. Yes! Mailbag coming up next. We only have one super chat, though, and Paul Brooks we'll put at the end of the show because it was not much of a question, actually. We got to get the questions in, guys. Come on. 50. Oh, who did it? Who did it? Get those questions in. Hashtag Browns right now in the chat. If you want to skip the line, you can super chat your way to the very, very front. Always appreciated. Plus, it definitely helps to improve the channel in terms of studio space and more content for you guys. The Raiders channel gets 2 videos a day. It'd be really cool to get to a spot if we can get to 2 videos a day, but we have a long way to go. They have worked very hard on it for a long time. But we got Lil Beam. He's always a frequent flyer in the chat, getting some questions in. Keep peppering the chat right now. Hashtag Browns. And hey, if you want to go above and beyond, I won't twist your arm or say no to a super chat. Mr. Lauderay, you let me know where we are at questions wise. We got to up the questions, guys. Now, here is the dilemma I'm facing. I have a flight to leave for in about 30 minutes or so. So we can't wait too long for the questions to start flying in. Joshua Miller, that's a big one, Josh. I actually like Josh. Sneaky would be an understatement when it comes to questions. He comes in from a side angle. He flanks your brain unlike any other person on the channel. Josh, thank you so much. Keep getting those questions in the chat right now. We've got Lil Beam putting some questions in. You could ask me anything. I know it's June. There's not a whole lot out there on the Brownies right now. So if it's Cleveland Browns related, if it's NFL related, anything under the sun, take your best stab at it. We could talk about Ricky kicking ass in the first day of the U.S. Open. I did not pick him in my pool. I went with Scotty Scheffler. I did not pick Max Homa because everyone was in on Homa. Okay, so we've got cool guy called Zone getting a question in. Keep pepper in the chat. Hashtag Browns super chat. We'll start the show off with Joshua Miller's question because I think it's a fun one. And then you guys take the show away with getting your questions in. Now, green light for Mr. Lauderay? Okay. By the way, if I repeat, you guys are going to see a new phase of me. I will go full Pete Weber. I'm missing my flight. That's exactly what's happening. I'm also telling the person on the plane, if they ask what I do for a living, I pick cards, and I'm really good at them too. I'm a card picker, no big deal. Like the guy from The Hangover. No. Now, here we go. Let's jump into a live Cleveland Browns Report mailbag. Mailbag time here on the Cleveland Browns Report. We're going to answer questions that our subscribers ask during our live show, which airs every Thursday at 5 o'clock Eastern. So if you have a question, tune in next Thursday at 5 p.m. And if I say anything that gets a bit dated, well, you know why. Now, Joshua Miller is the first one up with a super chat asking, would the Browns get more love if they were in the NFC? Without a doubt. I mean, if you just think about the quarterbacks in the NFC, call me biased, Deshaun Watson would be the number one quarterback in the NFC. Who is he going up against? Kirk Cousins, Jalen Hurts, Matthew Stafford. I'm going to toss Justin Fields in there because I think he's going to be awesome this year for Chicago. There's no one in the NFC South. Dak Prescott, although I think Dak sucks, actually. Yeah, I mean, if the Browns were in the NFC North instead of the AFC North, they'd be the runaway favorites most likely to win the division. So, no doubt in my mind, if the Browns were in the NFC, they would have – we'll know more in January, but I bet if you took their record and stuck it in the NFC, it would improve their seeding. Corn Dog Dude, what's going on? Are you worried about a pass-first offense might not work as well with Kevin calling plays? He had typically coached a run-first offense. So I was thinking about this actually walking to work today, and I am very excited and very optimistic and very much bought in on the 2023 Cleveland Browns. I think the only thing that could hold this team back is Kevin Stefanski, right? Is a coach who's had some snafus and some poor judgments at key times over the last 2 years and is sort of riding off the very end of the coattails of a 2020 AP Coach of the Year award. So I do fairly, and I think we all should have a certain level of concern and maybe not fully trusted faith in Kevin Stefanski because he has not been brilliant the last 2 years. So to answer your question about switching from a run first to a pass first, no, I'm not all that concerned about that. He comes from a background of a pass first game. Did that a lot in Minnesota when he was up there. I think he has just leaned into Cleveland's strength the last 2 or 3 years, and now he can get back to what he always wanted to do, air out the football. Browns lover, what's going on? Is anyone's seat speak of Kevin Stefanski, is anyone's seat hotter than Stefanski in the NFL? Good question. Kevin Stefanski definitely does not enter the season with an ice-cold seat. Like Jimmy Haslam said at the owners' meeting, the expectation is the playoffs, essentially, and probably more than just make the playoffs, but win in the playoffs. So I don't think the bar for Kevin Stefanski is 9 or 8 wins and you are good to go. No, the Browns have to deliver this year. Jimmy Haslam has, frankly, spent way too much money for them not to be good in his eyes. If I had to think of some way too early hot seat candidates, like before the season even starts, way too early, Kevin Stefanski would be on the list. Josh McDaniels. Now, the Raiders are likely not going to move on from him even if things get bad because, believe it or not, they're kind of strapped for cash out in Vegas, and they don't want to pay a buyout and then pay a new coach. Dennis Allen, he wasn't good as the Raiders coach. They were sub 500 last year in New Orleans. If things don't get off to a nice start down the Big Easy, he could be out on the Sooners side. Robert Saleh, low-key, very bad record as a head coach. Now, he hasn't had a ton of talent at quarterback spot, but I could see that being a spot where the ownership and management goes, we got you, Aaron Rodgers. You had to figure it out. We're going a different direction now. And then Riverboat Ron, things have gotten a bit stale since the start of his tenure in Washington. I think of a coach, and I don't know what the exact number is, but I feel like there's always been a coach who's been fired mid-season for X amount of years in a row. If there is one to get fired mid-season and we don't have an Urban Meyer situation on our hands, it very well could be one of these 5 guys. So with that being said, are you in on Kevin Stefanski? Yes or no? I am more of a Kevin Stefanski stan, truther, believer, whatever you want to call it, than maybe some people out there are. But I'm definitely not all the way in bed with Kevin Stefanski is going to be magnificent. He is a great coach. He has no flaws. He never screws up. It's always someone else's fault. No, I'm not all the way on that far on the pendulum, but I'm definitely a little bit further past the right in the middle. Paul Brooks, what's going on? How many Browns receivers will have 1,000+ yards this year? So when Deshaun Watson led the NFL in passing in 2020, believe it or not, he only had one receiver, if memory serves, go over 1,000 yards, which is kind of bizarre to think about. Will Fuller was like almost right there. He didn't play a full season. Otherwise, he would have. My early predictions are Amari Cooper, and I'm going to go Elijah Moore, are 2,000-yard receivers for Cleveland in 2023. You could easily substitute Moore for DPJ, but I think you'll get 2,000-yard receivers. I know we're all super excited about what was a very promising OTAs and minicamp practice sessions, but it is only Deshaun Watson's first year as this team's starting quarterback and no splitting with Jacoby Brissett in the offseason. So it might not ramp up to his full potential with Cleveland right out the gates. So I'm going to go with 2,000-yard receivers for the Browns. Give me Cooper and Moore. Little Beam, you're up next. What would be Matt Ioannidis' and Shelby Harris' projected contract? Well, we can throw on Matt Ioannidis' and Shelby Harris' stats last season, and we'll throw those on screen for you guys for just a moment. What would their projected contracts be? I think both players would be in a very similar ballpark. Probably a good amount of incentives, some game bonuses and whatnot. I would suspect 1 year, $3.5 million, right? I don't know what the vet minimum for those two guys would be for how much football they have played so far, but I think it would not even get, I don't think it'd get to $5 million. And I know Frank Clark signed with Denver, $5.5 million with some incentives on there. They're not going to get that much money. So I think 1 year, $3.5 million, $3 million is probably in the ballpark for them. Now, when it comes to the Cleveland Browns, we are always on the trail, following all news and rumors, so don't miss any coverage. Plus, we are knocking on the door of 20,000 subscribers. Help us get across the finish line and hit that sub button down below. Jaden, next up on the show, thank you for the super chat. What are the chances we sign Dalvin Cook? Low. Dalvin Cook doesn't complement this running back room well. He's just a slower version of Nick Chubb, right? I mean, he doesn't offer anything that you don't already have in this running back room. Now, Dalvin Cook is a good goal line back. He's always had a nose for finding the end zone. But is Nick Chubb a bad goal line back? I mean, if you want to add a running back, I think you would try and add one and have him bring a skill set that you currently don't have. And so for that reason, I think Dalvin Cook's probability of coming to Cleveland is like, I don't know what the percentage would be, but like less than 10. So the only path I could see for him is if Kevin Stefanski tells Andrew Berry, I loved working with him in Minnesota. I've got a plan how we can use him. We're going to have a great ground attack and air raid. Let's get it done. But I don't think that conversation is taking place. Thank you for the super chat, though. Cool guy called Zone. Prediction for preseason record. Remember, Cleveland plays 4 preseason games because they are in the Hall of Fame game. You don't want to go 4-0. I'm going to tell you that right now. I can remember a previous time when the Browns went 4-0 in the preseason, and it did not go well in the regular season. 2-2. 2-2. That way, we got some wins, but we're also hungry for more. I think you want to go 2-2. Marshall Green stepping in right now. What's the ideal preseason record, you think? I said for 4 games with the Hall of Fame game, 2-2. Hungry for more, but you got some nice wins for the home crowd. Yeah, 2-2 is cool. 2-2? You don't want to go on. You died, said the last thing you want to do is win all of them. That's a nightmare waiting to happen. I will say this on the preseason. Everyone's going to be very excited for the Hall of Fame game. If Zach Wilson plays, at least we'll know the quarterbacks, which has not been true for a long time. Plus, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, he's going to be a highlight, or Kellen Mond, or Josh Dobbs. Like, there will be some names we recognize at least. All right, that was a lot of preseason talk. Ray, what's going on? Where does Kareem Hunt end up signing, you think? Ooh. I don't think it's going to be the Browns. I think you might see a team. Remember when, for example, Sony Michel got traded to L.A. because Cam Akers got hurt? I think the NFL probably learned after that. Did you have to trade for Sony Michel? Or could you have signed someone who probably would have given you the same production as Sony Michel, but you didn't have to give up draft picks to do so? So if an injury pops up, whatever team that is, the number one story will be top remaining free agents headlined by Kareem Hunt, Dak, Zeke, Leonard Fournette, whoever's still available. As of right now, if no injury pops up, what about a team like Tampa Bay? reunion with Baker potentially down there. I don't quite know what the Bucs' goal is for this season, but they don't have a rock-solid running back room. I like the Rashawn White guy they have there, but I think Tampa Bay could be a nice fit for Kareem Hunt. Now, speaking of Kareem Hunt, it just backup running backs. This is definitely digging deep, but if you're watching right now in June, you know Browns football because a lot of people just tune out in the offseason. So shout out to you for not. Favorite backup running back in Browns history. Has to be a backup. Isaiah Crowell, not quite a backup. But let me know who your favorite backup in Browns history is down in the comment section. For now, I'm going to go Dearness Johnson, who's an awesome backup. Jaden, what's going on? Just want to say this is by far my favorite account on YouTube. Jaden, thank you very much for supporting the show. You are by far one of my favorite subscribers to this channel. Really appreciate your support. Joshua Miller next up. If we were a 500 team with an average Deshaun Watson, what is the floor with Deshaun Watson returning to Pro Bowl form? Do you understand this question, Jack? Okay, if we were a 500 team with an average, what is the ceiling? Okay, I'm not quite reading your mind here, Josh, but if you're a 500 team, then your floor and ceiling are 500. Yeah, I'm really trying to struggle to piece this one together, Josh. But I would say the floor, to kind of answer your question in a roundabout way for this team, if this team went 7-10, would anyone be like drastically shocked? No, that's what they went last year. So that would probably be the floor. If they also went 12-5, I wouldn't be blown away either. Like they have that type of floor and ceiling where they could be really, really good. And no one should be surprised when they look at the roster. Or teams could write off the Browns and go, we'll never believe in the Cleveland Browns. They won 7 games last year. Deshaun Watson didn't look good. Why are we supposed to subscribe for this year? So I think 7 wins is kind of the floor, and 12 wins is the ceiling. What would the floor be for? Yeah, Josh, you put my brain in a pretzel. This is like the Ricky Bobby scene. I've got a soft serve pretzel in my head right now. All right, off-season mode. I'm feeling pretty good, not going to lie. That was great. King of Diamonds will live on forever. Okie dokie. You ready to pick a card, Jack?
Give me the Jack of Hearts.
Jack of Hearts? Okay. Can I repeat? I'm going to go with the 3 of clubs. One last cut for good measure. I was in the neighborhood. 8 of clubs. That was a bit of a heat check. I needed a heat check. Okay, that's going to do it for us on our mailbag. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're going to let you guys go and enjoy the rest of your day. We will catch up later. Make sure to subscribe if you have not already. Josh, you put my brain in a blender with that question. No one 8 of clubs. We had 2 people get it right today. Shout out to Corn Dog, and then I will toot my own horn. That feels really good. I got the number right. That's a big win, Jigabuggy. Okie dokie. Now, we unfortunately can't stay around for too much longer. I have a flight to catch. So, Jack, thank you so much for all of your help. You guys have no idea the amount of time and effort that goes in behind the scenes to get a plane like this off the ground. So, clap it up for Jack Lauderay. We are going to sign off. We're going to see everyone later. We're going to have more content coming out throughout the weekend, so stay tuned for that. Thank you all so much for tuning in, hanging out with me on a Thursday afternoon. Go Browns.